Hello, everyone. Good evening from Dhaka, and welcome to the closing session of the Blockchain Economy Summit, the first ever Blockchain Economy Summit in Bangladesh, where we have covered 8 sessions in 2 days. Today is the last session, and the topic is very interesting. You all will love it: implementing blockchain in a smart city. And today we have got so many amazing guests from different parts of the world: US, Singapore, Canada, and different state of US. So without a further ado, let me invite our panelists in the session. Let me introduce our very own from Bangladesh, Professor Mamun from Dhaka. Hello, Mamun Bhai. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Imran. Very excited to join the event, and it's a very hot topic: blockchain and smart city. And Bangladesh is going to join this smart city, and next Dhaka will be the smart Dhaka. Looking forward to it.
And then it's an honor to have you on board with us in this session. Now I am inviting all the way from US, Miss Rudmeela Nawsheen, all the way from California, if I'm not wrong. Is the founder and CEO of ConfigRBot and ConfigVR. Hello, Rudmeela. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Imran?
Yeah, I'm doing good, and it's an honor to have you with us in this session, the closing session. We have divided this session into 3 parts, so I hope everyone will love it.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thanks to Inspiring Bangladesh, and I'm looking forward to a very exciting conversation.
Absolutely. Now I'm inviting Samad Miraly. Hello, Samad Bhai. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, I can hear you loud and clear. Samad Miraly is a very known face in this industry, and he's actively involved with different initiatives. We will talk more about it in this session as well. We are inviting our favorite from all the way from US, from Amazon Web Service, very known face, Mahadee Zaman. Hello, Mahadee bhai, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum shawaike. Yep, I'm doing fantastic. I'm seeing a lot of very good faces here, amazing faces. So I'm absolutely looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward as well. And those who are watching right now, please share this link, and trust me, you guys will know so many things, so many interesting things about smart city implementations of blockchain and so many unknown things. So without any delay, please share with your near and dear ones. We are live in LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm inviting all the way from Canada, Rahat Yasir. Hi, Rahat, how are you?
Hey, Imran Bhai, I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and it's great to have you in our session. And last but not least, I'm inviting Xander Heijden from the CEO and founder of UNL from Singapore. Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm fine, Imran. Nice to meet everyone, e-meet. And thank you for inviting me and letting me do my presentation about UNL and talk about blockchain in smart city.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward for an amazing session in coming times. And so we will start our session. Our guest, there are other guests. They will join into different part of the session. So with their permission, we are starting our conversation of this particular session of smart city and the implementations of blockchain. So we will start our conversation with a presentation. A video I have played in the beginning of our session is UNL. So we have got our CEO of UNL and the founder. So we will start with the presentation. Before that, I'm inviting another guest from US, Mr. Rafat Rahman. He's the CEO of Parking Koi, one of the most finest startup in Bangladesh. They are solving the parking problem in our country. So welcome, Mr. Rahat. I hope you're listening to me.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Imran Bhai, for inviting me in this event. I'm really excited to hear from everyone and talk about Parking Koi and the blockchain, how blockchain can actually help parking. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are going for a presentation of UNL. The reason we are tagging up with UNL, because to make digital Bangladesh, the vision of digital Bangladesh, we need to build digital address. This is the most important things. And as we know, it's a densely populated country and it's a mega city. Right now, in this lockdown and this new normal, the e-commerce companies are growing very much higher, and they're facing difficulties in delivering their tracking and other stuff. So we have we will start this session with a presentation of UNL. So if you are ready, Xander, I can put the presentation in the screen.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So yes. So we will start our presentation and then we will talk more about it.
So thank you for inviting me and letting me to give you a sneak peek of UNL, sharing what we're doing regarding blockchain and in the smart city. And as you already shared, a very important part in building a digital twin of the real physical world is addressing. Maybe to start with, what most of the people don't know is that 75% of the world is badly addressed or not addressed at all, and that 4 billion people are without a trusted address. And this amount is even higher if you're also including the verified, validated addresses worldwide. So 80% of those addresses in developing countries are not verified. So that's an important part of addressing, is not only giving a location and address, but also putting trust in that address. And here, blockchain can play a key role in that. Where the streets have no name, billions are excluded from a digital economy. Addressing is part of an identity. Without an address, you can't open a bank account, or you can't put an insurance on your name, or put a property on your name. So addressing is a very important part of inclusion. 4 billion people are excluded from daily economic traffic. They don't have access to the most essential services, like receiving a package or having emergency help in time. But also businesses suffer from inaccurate and unreliable addressing. E-commerce and delivery and mobility, the cost of not having these accurate addresses are in the billions. But also governments, and if we're talking about smart city, if you don't have an efficient addressing infrastructure, it's difficult to develop from an economical and an urban perspective. It restricts governments in securing economical, financial, social inclusion and equality for their civilians. UNL is a whole new way to think about locations, made to connect the unconnected, unlock the economic potential of locations, and enable access to hyperlocal digital services. UNL is a smart location platform that gives anyone and anywhere a unique universal smart address. We're transforming the physical world into a multi-layer smart 3D grid of microcells. We give every physical location a smart address, or we call it a GeoID, and we provide data tools to enrich these GeoIDs with contacts and content, all hyperlocally. The platform links the physical world with digital assets. And if you look at it from a layered point of view, we create location-based experiences, but we also add a programmability and logic to every cell. And again, here is where we use blockchain to make every cell transactional, but also create decentralized ownership of these cells. Everyone can claim its cells and can give it a name. We call it a location-based domain name. But also data ownership management. If you claim that ownership, you can also manage and maintain the point of interest data that is linked to that specific cell. And of course, data enrichment, verification, and analytics. And from protocol level, we created a global universal addressing and naming system. And to enable anybody in the world, and it doesn't matter if you're in Bangladesh or in China or in the US, you can use your smartphone to claim an address and to share it throughout the supply chain to optimize fulfillment, and not only in the last mile, but also in the last meter, and last meter specifically, for example, for food delivery. So we are creating we're building the Internet of Places. We're creating a one-on-one digital geodata twin, and this is important if you want to tap into the potential of a smart city, or you want to make your city smarter. This is where you need to start. Every physical location needs to have an identity, and it needs to have an address so that you can interact with that, where you can store data, where you can search for data, where you can maintain and manage data, where you can connect every device or IoT or vehicle or even a smartphone to a specific location. And how can we make cities smarter? If you know that in 2030, 60% of all people will live in urban areas. So there's a huge influx of people into cities. And this means that cities need to become smarter to process this influx and to cater for all these new inhabitants. And if you look at cities, they are exceptionally data-rich environments. This data is the raw material towards building intelligent cities. So 4.6 billion active internet users around the world, generating a lot of data, 463 exabytes per day at 2025. And then if you're looking at, for example, the connected car, it's already 4 terabytes of data that is generated day by day. So to activate hyperlocal data and grow intelligent cities, we need to create new business models for economical growth, but also from a social perspective, improve citizens' quality of life and catalyze for inclusion and equality. But of course, one of the most hot topics of the past years and for the coming years is how can we make cities more environmental friendly? How can we reduce CO2 emissions? And especially in delivery and logistics, this is a big question mark, how to solve that. And I think by optimizing last mile and logistics and the whole fulfillment throughout the supply chain, we can reduce CO2. So we're talking about a smart city operating system, and we took a couple of examples of which we are user cases that we are implementing. So what I already shared, optimization in last mile for sustainability, but also for cost reduction and in general, making cities more friendly instead of having too much traffic because of delivery or mobility or food delivery. It's a must. So again, a universal address, a GUID. We're creating virtual private maps. Think of Grab and Gojek that want to create and tap into their workforce and have that data that they generate made available to their workforce. So we're creating virtual private maps. We have a semantic search engine that also works with landmark-driven geocoding, as a large part of Asia runs on landmark geocoding. I live across the postal office or next to the yellow building 5 meters from. And this we also need to process because this is the current state of the market. People are used to searching on these landmark-based contextual information. So we process that in our system. We created our own router based on our cell structure that is dynamic and can learn from the experience of drivers, can tap into the workforce and can continuously improve the routes. Again, I always take the example of Gojek. with 100,000 bikers in Jakarta. You want to tap into their experience, their knowledge of the city of Jakarta, and base the router on that experience. So that's what we create. Thus end-to-end routing and navigation, and we're creating all kinds of solutions around the delivery. And again, blockchain plays an important role in this, where we can make also the last mile transactional, and not only proof of delivery, but we can also settle for payment by replacing cash on delivery. If you receive the package, you investigated the package, you can settle by just scanning a QR code. And of course, a little bit into the future, where everyone is talking about the autonomous future, where drones deliver packages. You need to create highways. As we know, for the cars, there were highways created, regulated highways, otherwise you get chaos. Also for this autonomous future, and specifically for drones, you want to create virtual regulated highways in the air. So specific routes that they are mandatory to fly over, but also to have an accurate address where they can land on. From a security and governance point of view, activate data for a smarter city. Of course, the traceability, transparency, and the privacy of data. Again, blockchain, an important role. We implement DLT, distributed ledger technology, to manage identity, manage this trust and security around data. But also, if you look from a government towards the individual, you want to have consensus of what data are you consuming of your civilians, and did they give their consensus to use that? And governance and trust embedded in smart contracts. And we're implementing, and this is an interesting one, where we also utilize blockchain for, we're creating data marketplace on top of our protocol, as we have seen in the market that there is huge amounts of location-based data with all kinds of stakeholders, with the government. I'm talking with for example, the Singapore government that is sitting on exabytes of data, but they don't know how to offer this data in a secure way to the public markets. And therefore, you need to have a mechanism, a system, and we created a data marketplace for that, where you allow data providers to interact with data consumers in a secure, trusted way, where they don't lose ownership of the data. So I call it the Spotify for data, where we create streams, and people can subscribe to the streams and can use and utilize the contextual output of that streams into other applications and services. And for that, you need to have blockchain. Also, blockchain to settle payments, where if you connect 1 billion machines with 1 billion machines, that means a lot of data and a lot of micropayments going through a system. And that's, you can only process through a decentralized mechanisms and system like blockchain. Thank you. If you have more questions regarding UNL, or you want to find out more, of course, you can reach out to me after this presentation, after this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Xander, for your wonderful presentation. Now we will go back to our main session, which is the smart city and the implementation of blockchain. So we will start the whole session in that way, like we will present a case study, like this is the existing solution, what we can implement in the city like Dhaka and other part of the world, and the existing problem, what we are facing right now in our country, Dhaka. So we will start with Mr. Rafat Rahman, the CEO of Parking Kui, the one of the most largest parking solution provider. What are the exact problem you guys are facing in terms of geolocation, locating the parking spaces from different part of Dhaka? Yeah, Mr. Rafat Rahman.
Thank you, Bhai. Thank you so much. So yeah, so first of all, I'm just saying about something about the Parking Kui. So we started our journey in Dhaka in 2018, and we are running our parking platform in 3 cities right now: Dhaka, Chittagong, and Sylhet. And last 3 years, we actually completed more than 8.5 million hours of safe parking, and we provide parking to the more than 150,000 unique customers. So the number looks large, but if you compare with the Dhaka, it's not, or Bangladesh in 3 cities, it's not actually nothing. So the main problem we are facing in Dhaka is, so the main areas like Gulshan, Bonani, and Motijil, the main areas in Dhaka where every day thousands and thousands people goes for their job or other tasks, they are not able to find the real parking over there because they have the parking, but they don't know where the parking is. So the main problem over there to connect with the parking provider to the parking who actually looking for the parking. So for that, we have our mobile app where people actually add their parking spaces in there, but it's not even in 3 years. We just in these 4 main areas we just can solve like maybe 10% of the problem. But again, they have the opportunity is like a big over there. So that's why kindly actually we are thinking about like a decentralization of the parking. So right now I'm actually working with University of Virginia and one of the parking provider in US, in Washington DC, because in Washington DC also facing the same problem. They also have a lot of parking, but connecting to the parking provider to the parking seeker is not that easy. So we are also thinking about like decentralized of the parking. So using the blockchain, like as blockchain is now solving like this, decentralize the storage. So we are trying to just implement that in parking. So we can actually combine blockchain with the IoT. So to provide the customer to find out the parking mode, because right now in the like we use the Google Map, but Google Map doesn't give the customer to the traffic alert. So for our parking, so it's really hard sometimes to find out the right route to go to the nearest parking space. Sometimes it takes them like 30 minutes to 40 minutes to go to the parking space. So yes, the geolocation is really important. I mean, for the parking queue, and that's why we are trying to work to solve that problem with IoT and blockchain.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Rafat, for your problem statement that you have already told us. Do we have Dr. Mamun with us? Can you hear me, Professor Mamun? Okay, he's facing some difficulties. So before that, we're going to Mr. Miraly, Samat Miraly, to know more about like what are the aspects, like as we are building digital Bangladesh, and what are the problem right now we are facing to make digital Bangladesh along with smart city. Samat Miraly.
Well, thank you very much. So in the capacity of managing the IDLC Venture Capital Fund, a lot of what we do is try to encourage entrepreneurs to solve problems using technology. And we're seeing it happen in various fields. We're very interested, of course, in smart city and urban technology, whether it's using blockchain or not. I think one of the biggest problems we see in Bangladesh is that we're a very geographically small country, so it's extremely dense, and so affordability it becomes very difficult. We have 57%, almost 80% of people in Dhaka live in rented homes, and the cost of living is very high. Dhaka's population has multiplied 6 times in the last 40 years. So we have the primacy of Dhaka and affordability, but then when we talk about digitization of, say, even land documents, this becomes very difficult when you talk about owning your own home, because we have a very traditional way of logging this. So I think, this is one problem that necessarily needs to be solved. There's innovative business models such as co-living that can address the opportunity and affordability. There's a company called Nestor Living that uses a co-living model to serve bachelors and give them affordable housing in a dignified way that's completely amenitized and serviced. These kinds of business models can help make our cities more efficient, not only just using technology or blockchain, but also in terms of business models. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity in those two aspects.
Right.
But specifically on smart cities, things that are constrained maybe right now are the sophistication of technological uses in terms of fractional ownership, for example. Regulations aren't there yet. Tokenization could allow for fractional ownership and increase affordability. It could also allow access for a larger pool of people to invest in real estate, whereas we know it's rather expensive. So tokenization could also democratize investment in real estate as an asset class.
Right.
So I think these are a few things that we can do, and when I'm thinking of it as an investor, because usually when we talk about smart cities and blockchain, it comes to the obvious of digitization of land records and them living on blockchain, of IoT. But there's still fundamental things that we need to do in Bangladesh before we get to that point. 5G isn't there yet, but Bangladesh is quickly digitizing, and we can see the government is playing an extremely strong role. And I think we only have good things to come with that.
Thank you.
With that continued support.
Thank you, Samad Bhai, for your kind observation. We'll come back to you again. Now we are moving to Mahadee Bhai, one of the most famous and very popular face in our youth community, I must say. So, Mahadee Bhai, what are the current situation, if you are seeing in an Amazon Web Service point of view, what are the difficulties we are facing to make our city more digitized and more smarter? What are the current problem what we are facing till then?
Thank you very much, Imran. First of all, I wanted to really appreciate, and I'm listening to everybody. These are amazing stuff that you can hear and feel like tingling. Like these are the things has to happen. Is that right? From the parking koi, from that getting the addresses and all kind of things that we're doing. Potential is infinite. So, but let me jump right in. I think one of the things that you see, the market is getting. Between 20 and 24 is over multi-trillion dollar in this particular area, specifically because now if you look at the G20, they just announced that a Smart City Alliance, and almost every city wants to become, and there are ISO standard now, what is resilient city is. And so that means that everything has been standardized. You can follow a particular guidance to make it smart city. Now, let me add blockchain on top of it, because when it comes to government, a lot of governments are the procurement process are significantly different, because let's say if you wanted to buy something, and it's not only government, it's a lot of large organizations. These are complex process. So you buy, you think about something, and you write an RFP or a tender or a bid, and by that time you purchase it, it's like almost 6 months to 1 year. Now think about technology. What happens in 6 months or 1 year? That technology is outdated. Whatever that you talked about is outdated. So that's number one. If we can get a framework and use blockchain for that one, that makes it, this is a very simple use case, because you can actually, blockchain is meant for, multi-contract, multi-party contract. So you can just simply use that and start procuring. And that becomes almost real time. I need something, technology is available, I can do it, boom, it's already there. So that can change it by itself. That's just one particular example. Now, where is the biggest challenge? When we start talking about smart city, we're talking about a massive amount of data. because everything we're talking about is making it smart. Smart means that I am producing data, I'm uploading data, processing the data locally, or uploading the data into the cloud, and then making sense out of it. However, even though there is a massive data, everybody used to say big data. Now it's actually truly cluster of a lot of small data, because it could be a parking meter in my city, and I'm only interested about that parking meter in my city because that's where I want to park. So I can't just say that, look at everywhere in Washington DC what's happening, or New York City. I'm sure we know that from Parking Koi app. Is where am I going to park? Because I have to know exactly where I'm going to go, and not where I am right now in an hour from now, because Waze has that information, Google Maps has that information, and find myself a parking. And because my car is an autonomous vehicle, it should just park over there. I don't have to do it. I can just sleep and it's going to go park there. So it's not a dream or imagination. It's already there. Then we got every person. I mean, if you look at our digital nation, আমার ওয়াইফ যেটা বলে যে আমরা সবাই মুনাজাতের মধ্যে থাকি সবসময়, because we're just pressing this button all the time, and it looks like we're doing praying actually. So what it means is that I have a device. This device have massive amount of data, from geographic data, calibration data, where I am, what am I doing, and who am I really. This is my digital twin. I know digital twin is a massive market as well. So this is my digital twin, is that right? So now it can make me smarter or it can make me dumb. How are we going to do that? So if you look at a perspective, massive amount of data gets there. I got to make sense out of it. And what do I need? I need that infrastructure so that I can ingest the data. I need the resource and skilled people who can actually take this data, write an algorithm, make sense out of it. And I also need the next generation. What are they thinking? Meaning I need to know that. Just so you know, even though you might consider you're very young, but the generation coming right after you, there will be a larger gap. I think that my kids, I would know my kids, they do some stuff, they use some terms, I don't even know what those means, and then afterward, the next generation after comes in, there is no way with that 2-generation gap you would know. So this is the third pillar of it. If I want a smart city, I want smart citizen. And that citizen is not today's citizen. That citizen is like 2 generations over, because I have to have that plan. Like, we have Digital Bangladesh plan right now, 50-year anniversary, which is 2021, but we are working towards that 2041, is that right? So I have to think about that generation when it comes in. I better be ready for that infrastructure, resource, and skills, and all of those things. Now, let me answer the question on the blockchain side. Blockchain, it is an amazing technology. What happens with new technology? Very steep learning curve. To manage a large-scale blockchain requires a lot of cost, a lot of infrastructure. So you don't want to do that, because there is a data governance, data privacy, data protection. You got to do all those things, and then you have to manage the underlying infrastructure at scale, which can provide that. And then afterward, you have to provide the meaningful use of that blockchain technology, whatever we're talking about. Maybe it's a ledger we're talking about, maybe just a track and trace, we're talking about whatever that particular use case we're talking about. And each one of those use cases, if you touch it, it's hundreds of billions of dollars right now, the potential opportunity. So what's happening is that you take one opportunity, make that infrastructure fully available, and open source each one of the components, and let people contribute, because there is no company, even it doesn't matter how big the company is in the world, who can actually perfect that. So you got to open source that to start with. That's one of the biggest challenge, because I have to open source, people have to localize it, make meaningful use out of it, and then put it back so that somebody else can use it. So whatever it can be used in Bangladesh can be used in Nepal or Nigeria or in the US as well. So, and again, contribute back, make it better, because I need 1,000 more contribution to each one of those technologies. Right after that one, I think this is a foundational element that we need to do. As soon as we do that, I just feel like that the potential is infinite, and you take one thing at a time, you just change the whole GDP of any country.
Amazing. Thank you, Mahadee, for your opening remark. I must say it was truly inspiring. I'll go back to our Rudmeela Nawsheen, the CEO, founder of ConfigRBot and ConfigVR. Like, what are the initiative you guys have taken and developed, like the stuff from your company to make the city smarter? Like, as you're working very closely with the young generation, so what are your feedback regarding this?
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Imran, for your question. I'll just give a little introduction of both my companies. So we are based in Silicon Valley, California. My first company, which is ConfigVR, we do augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. So it's an XR company. And my second startup, which is ConfigRBot, we do robotics, AI, and IoT. So I'll just come into blockchain a little bit later, but I wanted to know, I wanted to discuss more about what we have built for what solution we have built for the problem I'm going to address. So I just made some notes. I'll just jump onto the topic. So as we all know that blockchain could help more cities make more secure and generate new value. So it's very clear that an approach to urban government innovation is required, and smart technologies are more secure, transparent, efficient for resilient communities. And as Mahadee Bhai and the other person, I forgot his name, sorry, made the presentation, he almost covered all the main essential points. But I think the primary reason to endorse blockchain is cybersecurity. So simply put, blockchain actually allows the individuals to make instantaneous secure transactions over a distributed network. So as a combination of mature technological concepts, and which includes peer-to-peer network, distributed consensus algorithms, does help us in many ways to make the city smarter. So this particular useful reason for blockchain for building smart city is like picturing a smart city network of connected urban objects like street lights, meters, parking is one of the examples, and then waste bins, Wi-Fi hotspot. There's like data. There's like endless number of data which we can use for blockchains. So therefore, the primary reason to endorse blockchain for me, I think, is one of the biggest reason is cybersecurity. So advanced technology can play a significant role in managing an efficient urban development and the population growth, which is a big, as Bangladesh is a very densely populated country, we do see that a lot. Interoperability needs to be considered from three perspectives: business model, platform, and infrastructure. And independent smart cities will not be enough. We need to have the enough power to sustain the smart city, and it is essential to ensure openness and coordination among multiple different cities to interconnect with each other. So the advantages of blockchain for governing cities are increased transparency and connectivity, direct communication, integrity over information, efficient management. So with the COVID-19 downturn, everyone's expecting a smarter city. So how we can build that? We definitely need the government support for that. And as also Mahadee said, I have that in my note too, that between 20 and 2024, the smart city market, including the segments of energy, healthcare, and security, is expected to grow at an annualized rate of 23%, amounting to $2.1 trillion. So it's a huge market we are looking at, and Bangladesh has huge opportunities in this field. So definitely blockchain can play a huge role in this. Let's say, for example, Dubai is actually planning to build a smart city, and they have implemented blockchain across multiple sectors such as finance, education, and transportation. So there are many other forms of blockchain implementation for banking and finance. For currency, blockchain is the main form, the bedrock for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Healthcare providers can leverage blockchain to securely store their patients' medical records. Records of properties, smart contracts, voting, transportation, and supply chain. So some companies that have already incorporated blockchain include Walmart, Pfizer, AIG, Siemens, Unilever, and tons of other ones. So for example, IBM has created its food trust blockchain, and that's what we have built a similar supply chain blockchain solution. So that's why I'm going to go a little bit on top on this topic. So the food chain actually traces the journey that food products take to get to its location. So using blockchain, giving brands the ability to track the food products from the route its origin through different steps in its final delivery. So we will get to know the source of where this each and every product is coming from, the origin to its delivery. So we have built a blockchain solution to resolve the problem faced by marginalized agricultural sector by bringing trust, transparency in planning, execution, monitoring of agro supply chain, and it provides long-term sustainable people-oriented development. And this model where every stakeholder will join the economic growth. So the creation of mutual trust between the grower, buyer, seller, and other stakeholders will allow higher economic gains for everybody. So it's called Kisan Chain. So mainly this is designed for agriculture sector. So the problem in the agricultural sector, as we know, Bangladesh is huge on agricultural sector. Farmers actually receive less than 30% of the final product price. So that is one of the problem. Lack of employment in rural sector causing migration. Farmers are never part of the agricultural supply chain, and rural finance and credit is always a huge problem area. And then for the agrotech, farming machines and technology are out of reach for rural sectors. Procurement of adequate farm like fertilizers, pesticides is still a challenge for them to find. So consumer lack trust on the food, branding and certification are centralized. So it still lacks responsibilities. So
right.
So
let me come back to you again in our next phase. Next we will go to Rahat Yasir, data and AI architect of CAE Canada. So tell me more about the initiative or like you are doing in your regular work that can add value to make Dhaka as a smart city.
So from my point of view, as I'm a technical person by profession, I'll take a bit like a step back. So the blockchain to me is kind of like the end of the chain of like making like any city smarter. So before that, it's not just like blockchain is like a technology. So overall smart city, when we talk about that, they're like smart home, smart education, factory, utilities, voting system, healthcare, smart mobility, all of them. And when we talk about all of them together, the obviously data is involved, IoT is involved, the internet and the overall like IT infrastructure is involved, then the blockchain. So we cannot just like take one technology out of the shelf and like and expect that everything will be solved. No. So as Mahadee Bhai was saying, that the data. So even if when we at CAE, it's like a large scale organization, we apply, we have offices in 35 countries. We apply data and AI based solutions in military, healthcare, or aviation industry. So before jumping into any kind of like calculation, like what kind of solution we will put, we kind of like go through a pyramid scheme. So first, collect all the data. What kind of like data we have a proper data repository. So Dhaka is the perfect example. Actually, we don't have any proper, government has taken a lot of initiatives, but there is no one unified approach of bringing all the data together. As also like Xander was saying, the like putting proper addresses, that could be like a start of that one. Once you have all the data in one repository or like in one section, in one unified approach, then you need to find out information, because not all data has the value, because there are like tons of like garbage data. You cannot get any kind of like information from those data, garbage value data. So you need to bring the data inside, like KPIs, identify what kind of KPIs we can get from smart city or parking or healthcare or mobility. Once you have that one, then we need to invest on knowledge. So knowledge means data management, data governance, revenue generation. How can we bring money from that data? And once we will make a lot of mistakes during that knowledge phase, then we go for understanding, okay, what are the mistakes we made? Let's fix it. Let's do it. Like sometime we need to go back to square one. Sometime we need to like just like do some patching, which we call understanding phase. And during that understanding phase, we grow the most. And right after the understanding phase, we get into the insight, which is the last layer. And that insight is actually helps us to be smart, to make money or revenue or get benefits from all of them. And also it kind of like gives us the data centric or data driven decision making capability. And after that, we will actually start to get the benefit of blockchain, IoT, data. So it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, but combination of everything. But to me, the way I see, Dhaka is doing the right thing. all the data centers and IT opportunities that we are creating. That is very commendable. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Rath, for your wonderful remark. As we have said, this is the first ever blockchain-based economy summit in Bangladesh, along with in Southeast Asia. People are talking in LinkedIn based on the the sessions and the audience and the speakers we have generated in this 2 days long session. So before going into our next phase, I would like to open the floor for an open discussions about how we can collaborate and add value to the government's initiative. As our mayor is going to come in this session, and we will give him some feedback, some suggestion about how we can make this city more smarter. As you know, there are two parts of our city right now, north and south. So we can create you can say a pilot project in a particular part of our city and show them to the other city in our country, so that we can take it as an example. So the floor is quite open. I can start. I would love to start with Mahadee bhai, Samad, Miraly bhai, to discuss about what are the upcoming solutions we can provide based on the requirement. As Xander is showing the geolocation, smart delivering system, and the in the smart in digital Bangladesh. So how we can blend it together to make our citizens, smart citizens, life more comfortable. Floor is open to discuss.
Well, if you'll allow me, I think I'll be very brief. There's just two topics that I would say, just to keep it very easy for maybe our mayor or our government officials to think about. One is, this was spoken about before, was transparency. I think the A2I initiative of the government has been really excellent. And there's a long way to go, particularly around the city and real estate and everything around that. So transparency first and foremost. And the other one I would recommend is having maybe a policy sandbox that needs to be thought a little bit further, but having a policy sandbox that allows for experimentation. I come from the private sector. So I work with entrepreneurs, and for them to be allowed to experiment on their own time within a flexible policy framework, we can then find the laws and the regulations after that, and it allows for MVPs to be created and use cases to be created. So I'll stop there, and I think those are my two primary suggestions.
Right. Thank you. Mahadee bhai, your take on that.
Thank you very much. I think what we need to do, because this is a very massive and large market, we got to eat what we can swallow, essentially. So we got to take one chunk at a time, build that. What is that foundational need, fundamental need? Find whatever the problem is. Pandemic actually provided us with a lot of, while it had a massive concern, we had a lot of, we lost a lot of people, or we lost a lot of economy, financial strength as well. At the same time, it gave us disruptive innovation as well, like in healthcare through telehealth, like in education through distance learning, and various other collaboration tools. That we don't have to be in the office, we can actually collaborate. So we can take advantage of whatever the foundational components and go from there. For example, any initiative that we have, before I say that, one of the things that you can see, which is apparent, who are the top 10 global companies that has massive amount of market valuation that's more than a lot of GDPs combined. Almost all of them are technology companies. It's Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, these companies. So what are they doing? Just think about that. And through that pandemic, through that disruption, what happened is that technology and provide them with a growth and acceleration. And if you didn't have technology, you kind of faded away, or you went into a back burner to some extent. So we need to double down on the technology, in my opinion, so that we can make our citizens' life better, as well as we can use those things. To do that, you need to have incremental innovation at this moment. That's my opinion. Incremental innovation means that let me take something that I have and let me innovate on that one so that I make it ready for next year, next 5 years, next 10 years, next 20 years, whatever that is, and distribute that mechanism so that everybody can use that one and then contribute back another increment on the top of that innovation. Let me break it down. Agriculture could be one of the massive one. In Bangladesh, like you can think about farm to table. This is a new thing that you see from everyone. Like somebody produces a tomato or mango, let's say, for example, this is coming. And how do I get the mango from the tree all the way to the person who is eating it? And track everything all the way through. So I know exactly where it was and what it did. Maybe that's a massive market. And you know this, as far as I understood, it's over 1,000 crore taka only in one product. Then you got all kind of fruits, every vegetable. So if I just take one, and because a lot of time we focus on too many things and nothing gets done. If I just focus on one, that has a massive amount of financial strength behind it. I can optimize it, make my citizen, the person who wants to eat the mango, a smarter person, because they get to see, hey, if I want this mango, this is coming from Dinajpur, and I like this one, okay, I'm going to be taking always that one. How do I do that? Only way I can do if I have the track and trace through that blockchain and make myself smart. So again, I'm going to stop right there because I wanted to see really take one problem, work backward from that problem, solve that, make it easy, and do that incremental innovation and let other people do that on top of it.
Right. Thank you, Mahadee. Xander, do you want to add anything based on UNL's perspective, like how you can add value on this particular problem that we are facing right now?
Yeah, I think the pandemic has sort of amplified the need for digital transformation and digitizing, especially the supply chain. And I already added the example just shared now from farm to table is the logistical challenge. It's connecting the dots and creating an open, transparent supply chain between the farm and the table, with delivery as a part of that fulfillment. So I think, and everything is sort of being amplified regarding the COVID situation, and all the essential services and the essential needs has all comes back to the logistical challenges, where still you need to optimize the last mile and make sure that also the people in the front that are delivering the goods or offering the services and providing these services are protected. So I think transparency and digitizing the infrastructure regarding logistics is absolutely a must, and not only for Dhaka and for Bangladesh, but I think it's a global challenge. And even in well-organized countries that I'm currently living in Singapore, it needs to be optimized. So I think that's a focus point, and it starts with creating the infrastructure and giving every location a unique address.
Right. Thank you, Xander, for your remarks. Yeah, Rudmeela, do you want to add anything?
I would like to add something. So the exact problem that Mahadee just explained, we have built a solution for that, and that's what I was talking about, the Kisan chain. So from farm to table, we have already built the solution, and we are planning to launch that very soon. But we would definitely need the government support for that, because the facilitating of the IoT connectivity needs to be there for us to be successfully implementing blockchain in any kinds of areas. So I just wanted to add that we have already built a solution from my company, which we are trying to launch really soon.
Right. We are wishing you all the best for this venture. Now I'm going back to Mr. Rafat Rahman for your take on this problem, and like how we can make this problem more solutionable for our citizens.
Yeah, thank you, Imran. I mean, so this problem is morely like what he just mentioned, like is like a more logistical problem. I mean, and what Mahadee said is really like we really need to take one things at a time, and and create an example so other field also can follow that. And what Rudmeela said, they already developed a solution for that. I'm really interested to know more about that. I think I will, this Kishan chain, I like how it's really work. So I really knock her offline, like when after this meeting, like to see how these things actually work, because I really interest on that.
Sure, I would love to share my deck with you. It's all ready.
Sure.
Absolutely. And like this is the whole purpose of this kind of collaboration session to, create cross-border and collaboration so that we can create a direct impact to our people's life. So we are coming to the end of this session. Any final remarks from the speakers, starting from Xander, if you want to add anything.
No, I think a lot of the topics have been discussed and touched on by everyone, and I think there is a lot of vision that is being shared. And indeed, what I liked about the vision behind blockchain, it's only a part. It's a technology that can be utilized for certain purposes. It's not a technology that saves the planet. It can be implemented in certain applications, and absolutely not a network where you store data in. So it's more access control. It's creating that security around access control and data processing and data management and guarding that. But it's not an all-in inclusive solution for everything. So I like that was shared during the conversation, as that's the misperception, and it's also driven, of course, by the madness around cryptocurrency and sort of speculating on digital money, but that has nothing to do with the real potential of blockchain in general and what we can do with the technology. So I'm glad that this was shared during the conversation, and it's still in evolving. It's like in the late 90s where internet came around, and you had the Mosaic web browser, and then Netscape, and then mass adoption. But Netscape doesn't exist anymore, and there are new technologies running on the internet protocol. This will also account for blockchain. It's still in the early days. It's still in the early evolution of the technology. So the first, second, third generation sets a certain direction. But especially what we want to achieve with blockchain, it's still not there. It's not scalable. It's expensive. It's the transaction fees are high. It's not green. There's the discussion around Bitcoin and the Elon Musk hype around the mining of Bitcoin, that is not sustainable. So there are a lot of challenges behind blockchain, but I believe because there is a lot of drive, there's a lot of influx of capital, that this technology will evolve into becoming a triple entry accounting system run by the collective computing power in the world. So that said, I was happy to be part of this discussion.
Right, absolutely. And the purpose of this whole discussion is as we have partnered with the government, ICT Division, Bangladesh High Tech Park Authority, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, LICT project, and we are partnering with eCab, Rakuten Viber, and other government stakeholders. Our Dhaka North City Corporation's mayor is going to be a part of these discussions, and our FBCCI president, the new FBCCI president, would be the part of this discussions. The whole idea is to give them the solution paper through which we can easily, come up with a solution. Finally, we have got connected with our Professor Mamun, one of the most famous face in this industry, and the founder and CEO of one of the most largest health tech startup of our country, CMED. So Mamun bhai, very shortly, if you can brief about your venture, and at the same time, the pilot project you have created into different part of our country. If you please share with us in a very short way. Thank you. You are not audible. It's not working, I guess. No, it's not working. I guess mic or like sound has got some problem. So okay, can you give a last shot, Mamun bhai, if it's possible to come up again? So if you tell me about CMED, it's one of the most largest health tech startup in our country. They are piloting into different part of our country regarding creating the health database, and for them, mapping is a very important part of the solution. They are mapping the whole. Mount Bay, can you hear us? No, it's not working, I guess. Bad luck, I hope. I guess. So this is the CMED is doing an amazing thing, creating the whole database of our country's citizens' health record. They are successfully piloting different projects, different pilot project into different small union, and tracking their health records in every day's life. So they are doing simply amazing, and would love to know more about Maun Bhai, as he's facing some difficulties to get into this conversation. We will go to Rahat Yasir to know more about his thought, the final thought you want to suggest to our upcoming solutions.
Thank you. To me, like if you ask me what is the top strength of Bangladesh right now, to me it's youth. We have a lot of educated youths. They're young and they're energetic and they're ready to do a lot of things. So all those topics or products that we talked here in the session with IoT, data, blockchain, AI, they're also extremely expensive to build. It's not cheap. It's not just like a web application. You can build it on your laptop or something. So, and those smart city application that we are talking, it's not just bring revenue right away. It's not, it's like a government or local people will be the actual consumer or user. So they will have to generate revenue or money from the local audience. So from that point of view, to me, one of the cool idea could be, we have a lot of ministries and they know all the bottlenecks that the government is facing. So those ministries, instead of investing money and hiring, getting softwares from outside, they can open source those ideas that they're facing right now, as a bottleneck. Hey, these are the top 10 list of ideas for foreign ministry or agriculture ministry, and then sponsor all the small companies, local startups that wants to build that solution. And that will be a great approach of supporting local startups, helping our youth to go forward. And at one point, when they're mature enough, we can start to sell it or make revenue from other countries. Hey, we have a proven solution. It's working. We are already smart enough to import it to others. So that is my last sentence.
Thank you, Rahat Yasir. And we are looking forward. Next is Rafat Rahman for your final take.
Yeah, thank you. What actually Rahat Bhai said, I actually want to say the same thing. So we always see governments try to improve the infrastructure, doing something, and they are always looking for the solution. So if they are not looking for the solution outside of the country or other company from the outside the country, then rather than come to us, right? Because we are also doing the same thing, but I think the syncing is not happening. The private startup, they are doing in their way and government doing it their way. So this syncing really needed, because if they come to us and give us the all what we need, some early investment, and because we know how to, because we are working in this field for years, so we know that what is the problem and how to solve it. Sometimes we don't have the right resource because we are just a startup. So if government doesn't go to outside the country, they just come to the startup who actually working in this field for years and try to work with them and give us the opportunity to help work together. So I think it will be more helpful. So this is my last 2
Yeah,
seconds.
and if I just give an example, in Canada, there's one option. They call it early adopters program. So if you build a startup here, you don't have any client, and it's ready, you can go to government. Hey, this is the startup that I have built, and I think you can use it. And government will be the first customer, and they will initially pay for it as a seed funding, and so that you can quickly fix your issues and scale your overall application or startup. So something like that would be really valuable for our use.
Right, amazing. And Mahadee bhai, if you want to share anything, or Rudmeela, do you want to share your deck? And after that, we will close with Mahadee bhai's inspiring closing remarks. I would say.
Sure, I will just quickly go through the deck.
Yeah.
I wasn't really prepared on presenting it today, but I'll just go ahead and do it. So this is our blockchain solution.
Can you make it full screen?
Yeah, I can.
So it's easier to.
Is it better now?
Yeah, you can go for a slideshow so that it's easier for everyone to go.
Just swap the screen. Yeah.
So basically, I think I gave a little brief on what we're actually targeting on. So Kisan Chain will be actually working on the principle and these technological concepts. Everyone knows about this. So these are the problems that we're trying to solve, that we were talking about, that there's a low income employment. I think I already went over this. I will not repeat myself. So these are the problems we're trying to solve. This is our solution. It's a trusted, verifiable solution, and we are doing branding and certification to produce enhanced farmers' capital, direct access to market, distributed wealth mechanism. So these are the features that our solution already covers. These are some more of them. I'll just leave it on for a couple of seconds for everyone to read it. So we are actually planning to do, so we have already launched this in India, and they're actually working on it. Me and my team have already built this. The founder of this is one of my CTO, also for ConfigRBot. His name is Anurag. He actually built the whole software. So the benefits will be employment generation, double up the farmer's income, the grassroots digitization, employment generation in allied sectors, migration control, planning, and distribution of supply chain. The farmer friend units, the main reason for us to do this is to get the farmers get paid more, because nowadays the farmers actually get a very low percentage of the final product price. This is the whole interaction, how we are planning to do it. The farmers unit and how we plan to build a whole farmers network. These are the logistic, the supply chain. We were going to do the packaging, processing, and branding as well. These are the farmers' input. So how we are going to be providing the machineries on a rental module on farmers' application. So this will require each farmers to have a smartphone and have this as a built-in feature, so that we can connect all the farmers for this. So this is another way how they can make the payments. These are the farmers marketplace. Am I going too fast? Are you guys, can you read it?
Yeah. Yes, we can read it.
Because of time constraint, I just don't want to waste anyone's time. So I'll just quickly browse through the slides. So we need to really create the awareness that with the help and involvement of the agricultural expert department, I'm sure the government, Ministry of Agriculture will be interested in something like this, because with this, we can actually reach the grassroots level people. So it's a huge market opportunity, even in Bangladesh, and the benefits of farmers, they'll generate trust with other stakeholders, ground level marketing, access to technology, communication with all the stakeholders, increasing their private productivity and income, and access to goods and services from other stakeholders. Benefits of end customers will be these. And the government benefits are going to be the opportunity to create employment, farming infrastructure in terms of information, dissemination and marketing, use of infrastructure for various planning and study the impact of any policy change, engage all stakeholders with full participation with little effort, and monitor and evaluate timely manner for any schemes in progress. Use this to engage with underprivileged society and get first-hand information on the problems. So these are again the benefits for the enterprises, the financial institution, the transportation company, and the machinery producers. And so it's actually being built in Singapore and in India. So I think I'll just end it now.
All right. It's great to see this project overview from your side. Thank you for your brief presentation. Can we last try to add Professor Mamun in the screen? Mamun bhai, can you hear us?
Broken.
Hello?
Having trouble connecting.
No. Mamun bhai, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
Internet connection.
Mamun bhai, we can hear. Yeah. Now I think we lost.
Let's try. Mamun bhai, are you
talk?
Broken.
Mamun bhai, কথা কিন্তু শোনা যাচ্ছে. We can hear you.
I don't think he can hear us anymore.
I think so. Anyways, I hope we can connect him in our next collaboration. So, Mahadee bhai, last few words from your side to inspire our whole generation. At the same time, the solution that we will provide to our government stakeholders, how they can be benefited, and how we can collaborate in a proper manner with in this 2 days. That would be the 2 days outcome. Yeah, over to you.
Sure. I will start with a definition of government. Who is government? We all are. Is that right? So when we say government, a lot of time we're looking at somebody else. It's not somebody else. Just put the mirror in front of us. That's who government is, because we all together. In fact, if you look at it, we have SHIFT, Sheikh Hasina Institute of Future Technologies. We have High Tech Park. We have Startup Bangladesh Limited. I think a lot of things we're talking about, the things are in place the government already have in place. Meaning, if somebody has a new startup company, government is ready to fund through almost an autonomous private organization, which is Startup Bangladesh Limited, anything they want, as long as they present and they get it. You got to go through a process because it's government, and we have to have a transparency of, check. So as well as we have institutes, is that right? And SHIFT is one of them. And it's distributed everywhere. Then we have high-tech park authorities offering free skill training, a lot of them, anything that we want. Now, what is our responsibility? Meaning that, these pieces are there. What is our responsibility? We take advantage of it. I don't think we're taking advantage of it enough. Not only that, I don't think we are advising the government. We're asking something already. But I think Abraham Lincoln said that we gotta talk about what we can do versus what they can do for us. So it's not they, it's us. So if I change that one, anybody who's very young, have an idea in mind and use that latest technology, you can do that. I work for Amazon Web Services. You can have managed blockchain for $1 per hour, and you can build it for $100, and you can turn it off if you don't want to. Now, you don't need to buy a massive things and start doing it. Start building that use case. And guess what? A lot of time, through Startup Bangladesh Limited in Dhaka, they can pay for your first year Amazon bill. Meaning Amazon will pay for that bill. So you don't have to wait for that. Really, that opportunity is right there. Because Startup Bangladesh Limited is an Activate provider. That means that your blood, sweat, and tear that goes into the concepts that comes from your heart actually can be deployed, and you can utilize it. And with the latest technologies. That's number one. Number two thing is every young person, and right now what you have, I can tell you in my experience, I had to spend $60,000 to get one Microsoft certification, $60,000 US dollar. And I paid it myself. My company didn't pay for it. Government didn't pay for it. Nobody did. I did. So guess what? When I paid $60,000, I put all my effort in learning it. Now you have it free from the government. Take advantage of it. This is right there for us to take. Now, what is the responsibility of non-resident Bangladeshi? We know stuff, we have seen stuff, and we can share. And I don't think we're sharing it enough. So it's upon me as well that I'm not providing a right guidance as well, because I'm asking them to do it for me. Rather, I have a lot of things I can provide and give. It's not always about the money, it's the mentoring and guidance. Now let's think about that. If I have a startup person, they have a concept what they can do. Because I've been in this industry for some time, Rudmeela knows a lot about technology, Radbai knows a lot. Everybody knows a lot of things. We can, if we provide the guidance for the startup person from the private sector, let's say we can call it PPP, private public partnership, I can make that person a massively successful one, because all of us together can rise up. And that opportunity is not only 1, 2, 3, 4. It can come from the village of Bangladesh. We can take one village and we can talk to Palak Bhai about that. Hey, why don't I take a village where you are and make a few people smart and make that village smart? We can do that. And I guarantee you, if you tell that to Palak Bhai, he is going to be absolutely ecstatic and provide all your support. So I have a feeling is that a lot of time when we're talking about this stuff, we're thinking that I don't have the resources. There are a lot of resources are not underutilized, and we can start using those things. Now, let me tell you why. Because High Tech Park Authority has facilities a lot of places. We can take advantage of those things. High Tech Park Authority is providing skill training. And if this is a training that we're missing, if we propose that to Hosnara Madam, which is the MD, for it, I am sure if she sees that properly, and let's say blockchain is a technology, something they can apply, and they can it causes employment, they would be more than happy to do that. Every ministry and agency, they have and I know from that from A2I Anik Bhai, is that they have CIOs. CIO means Chief Innovation Officer. How many governments in the world has Chief Innovation Officer? I don't know that. Really, I don't know. And they're in a very high position. So we can work with them and get their idea and concept. Government already has that idea bank that we're looking for. For every government agency has a concept and the problems, they dumped it in the idea bank. And the person who has done it, we can partner with them and let them use those things. So there's a massive amount of resources and we're not using it. I mean, look at Bangladesh. Digitally, we are so far ahead, I have a feeling, that we're not catching up fast enough to take advantage of those things. Every young person, and they are so innovative in Bangladesh, and they are doing so much great. I know, because NASA Space App Challenge, they become champion. SEM, they become champion. Math Olympiad, they become champion. You look at it, the brain power of Bangladeshi young generation is amazing. And I'm not taking advantage of it, because if I take that ACM champion and the robotics champion and the space champion, I know there is a college student, meaning in St. Joseph, and he is building the next generation satellite at Bangladesh without any resource. I know a high school student in Bangladesh. She became the champion in the programming contest. She did not have a laptop. She built that program in an Android phone. And she became the champion. So just without resources, so many different things we have. So what am I finishing up with? I think that what we need is a co-innovation center where all the resources are, one-stop shop, so that like myself, when I go in, I think we all are asking for something. It's already there. So I know what are the things that I have, and I can take all these Lego blocks and build my solution. If you look at the global companies who became large, started from the garage, didn't have any money, they didn't go to the government to get the fund, they built it themselves. And then the government adopted it. Government didn't want it to go to the cloud. AWS made it, Microsoft made it, and then the government came to adopt that. We got to prove ourselves. And I feel like that we have the power, we have the strength, we have the resources, we have the willingness. I don't think I personally feel like that it's absolutely unparalleled what we have opportunity in Bangladesh, and we must take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mahadee bhai, for a wonderful speech. personally, as you know, like you motivate so many people. And personally, I am motivated by you so many times. Thanks for motivating this generation to be very particular. Thank you, everyone. And last but not least, I would love to thanks to all of our partners, sponsors, government stakeholders to support this initiative, as we believe to this kind of initiative, it won't be possible if we can't get the support from our government stakeholders. So thank you, all of you. And we believe like this is the starting point through which we can come up with some other plans, other big collaborations with public-private partnership, and inviting different big investors and big startups, and creating our startups on that level. So that's it for today. Hope to see you soon. And with this note, we are closing this session. Hope everyone will be doing good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.